To plague not just parts of the Atlanta metro, as we're seeing this morning with that Delta Airlines flight just now creeping into the picture on the right side of your screen, but also into parts of the Carolinas. Temperatures outside right now in the upper 50s at Hartsfield-Jackson International. If you're flying from Atlanta to, say, Columbia, South Carolina, perhaps Charlotte, Douglas, watch out. I would not be surprised at all if we had a number of cancellations and delays. Haley Meyer was just showing you where that severe thunderstorm capable of producing that tornado was at, just east of Panama City, Florida. That's all in response to this cold front right here. It's this cold front that's really serving as the focus mechanism for those showers and thunderstorms to develop along. And then out ahead of that is where we're seeing the warm, unstable, and twisting and turning in the atmosphere, which a storm can tap into, bring that twisting and turning from the cloud base down to the ground, at which point you could have a tornado on the ground. There's a lot of fuel for this fire, if you will, just meaning that the dew point temperatures, or the measure of the amount of moisture in the air, is elevated. There's also that tornadic threat that's increased around the state capital of South Carolina, that being Columbia. So really important that if you're visiting friends and family post the Christmas holiday, during Hanukkah, celebrating perhaps Kwanzaa with the friends and family the day after Christmas, and now that we're into the holiday weekend, this is going to be an area of town that's just volatile, and an area of the country where through this afternoon, 3, 4, and 5, Charlotte, looks like the storm system should just be east of you by that point. You got flight plans out of Raleigh-Durham around 4, 5, and 6. Man, oh man, watch out. I think we'll see delays there. Wilmington, Charleston, South Carolina, and then down toward places like Hilton Head. Today certainly not being a good beach day at all. Haley, we need to watch these storms like a hawk, not just for the severe weather, but also for that threat for perhaps some minor flooding.